Echoes of Old Easter, a history of traditions, customs, and folklore from the resurrection to the present day, by Hotham. Chapter 1, Jesus and the First Easter. Easter's heart beats with the resurrection of Jesus Christ on the third day after his crucifixion, as vividly described in the four Gospels. The discovery of the empty tomb by the women who came to anoint his body at dawn, the massive stone rolled away by an angel, the appearances to Mary Magdalene, who initially mistook the risen Lord for a gardener, the two disciples on the road to Emmaus who recognized him in the breaking of bread, and finally, the gathered apostles behind locked doors where he showed his wounds and ate fish to prove he was not a ghost. All these events turned profound grief, fear, and confusion into triumphant hope, joy, and unshakable faith. Early Christians, many of them still deeply rooted in Jewish tradition, connected this miracle intimately to the Passover, called Pascha in Greek. This ancient festival commemorated the deliverance of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt and the sparing of the firstborn through the blood of the sacrificial lamb. The resurrection was seen as the ultimate Passover. Christ became the Lamb of God whose blood brought deliverance not just from earthly bondage, but from sin and death itself. In the first few centuries after Christ, believers met quietly, often in homes, secret gatherings, or catacombs under the threat of persecution. They shared a meal, remembered the Last Supper, and celebrated the risen Lord with prayers, hymns, the breaking of bread, and the exchange of the paschal greeting. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Eggs soon emerged as a potent, universal symbol of the resurrection. The hard, sealed shell represented the sealed tomb, while the chick bursting forth mirrored new life, victory over death, and the promise of eternal renewal. Red-dyed eggs specifically recalled the blood of Christ shed for humanity's redemption. This symbolism drew from both Christian theology and ancient cultural roots. Eggs had long represented fertility, rebirth, and new life in many pre-Christian traditions. Ancient Egyptians, Persians, and Hindus saw cosmic eggs as the origin of the world. Romans and Anglo-Saxons linked them to spring festivals honoring goddesses like Easter, whose name may echo Easter. Early Christians in Mesopotamia, around the 1st to 4th centuries, were among the first to dye eggs red in memory of the blood of Christ shed at his crucifixion, according to historical accounts. The practice spread rapidly through the Orthodox churches into Eastern Europe and Siberia, then westward via Catholic and Protestant traditions. By the Middle Ages, the Roman ritual, first published in 1610, but containing far older texts, included a formal Easter blessing for eggs alongside lamb, bread, and new produce. Eggs were practical as well as symbolic. During the strict 40-day Lenten fast, Christians abstained from meat, dairy, and often eggs, so hens continued laying while families saved them. Hard-boiling preserved them, and decorating marked the joyous end of penance. Egg rolling later symbolized the stone rolled away from the tomb. These customs blended deep faith with the exuberant joy of spring's return after winter's hardship. They created a foundation of renewal, community, and symbolic hope that later centuries would embellish with even greater color, sentiment, games, foods, folklore, regional variations, and eventually the revolutionary arrival of chocolate eggs, and in the 20th century, the magical glow of television bringing Easter into living rooms across the world. This book touches lightly on those foundational biblical and early Christian roots before immersing deeply in the rich, evolving traditions that followed. Especially the lively customs, detailed recipes, specific games with rules, protective folklore, regional differences from German Osterhase villages to British pace egging, and the fascinating stories of how simple eggs became chocolate delights and how television wove old customs into new family rituals. Chapter 2, Seeds of Tradition, Medieval to Georgian Roots, pre-1800s. During the Middle Ages, the strict 40-day Lenten fast prohibited not only meat, but also eggs and many rich foods. This made Easter Sunday a glorious explosion of feasting when eggs reappeared on tables in joyful abundance. Families hard-boiled them and colored the shells, often in red to symbolize Christ's blood, or using whatever natural plant dyes the season offered from kitchens and gardens. In Orthodox traditions, red eggs remained central and were cracked together in games with the greeting, "Christ is risen." In Western Europe, eggs were painted or dyed with onion skins for golden brown hues, beets or cranberries for vibrant pinks and reds, red cabbage for blues and purples, spinach or grass for soft greens, and turmeric or citrus peels for sunny yellows. Families in rural areas often wrapped eggs in leaves or flowers tied with string before dyeing to create intricate patterns when unwrapped. Hot cross buns, sweet spiced yeast loaves marked with a cross, became strongly associated with Good Friday. Street vendors in Georgian and earlier times hawked them with lively rhyming cries such as "hot cross buns." 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. Rich folklore granted these buns special powers. Those baked on Good Friday were said never to mold, to protect homes from fire and evil spirits if hung from kitchen rafters all year, to calm storms at sea if carried aboard ships, or to cure illnesses, especially stomach upsets, if a piece was broken off, eaten, or applied as a poultice. Sharing half a bun with a friend sealed the friendship for the coming year, according to old rhymes like "half for you and half for me, between us two good luck shall be." The spices were sometimes interpreted as echoing those used in Christ's burial, while the cross symbolized the crucifixion and resurrection. Some traced spiced cross-marked buns even further back to pre-Christian pagan Europe, and symbols associated with the goddess Easter, though Christian tradition firmly claimed them for Good Friday observances. Tudor laws once restricted spiced bun sales except on Good Friday, Christmas, and funerals, adding to their special status. In some villages, buns were distributed to the poor or sailors as protective charms. The Easter hare, known in German as the Osterhase, emerged from folklore as a magical creature that judged children's behavior throughout the year and rewarded the good ones by leaving colored eggs in nests made of grass, hats, or baskets. German immigrants carried this charming tale to Pennsylvania Dutch communities in the 1700s, where entire villages turned out with gaily decorated Easter eggs for games, egg-eating contests, and communal celebrations. This laid the groundwork for the Easter Bunny tradition that would later spread widely across America and beyond. Hares had deeper roots too. In medieval England, hare hunts occurred on Easter Monday, such as the Leicester Hare Hunt recorded from 1668. Hares were linked to fertility symbols, or even the Virgin Mary in some iconography because of beliefs they could reproduce without losing virginity. Games were boisterous, symbolic, and hugely popular across villages and towns, often lasting all afternoon. Egg tapping, also called jarping, egg knocking, or egg picking. Two players held hard-boiled eggs and knocked the pointed ends together repeatedly. The owner of the last unbroken egg won bragging rights and often claimed the cracked eggs as edible prizes. This tested strength, luck, and steadiness, and was played around tables or on village greens, sometimes with dozens of competitors in elimination rounds. Egg rolling, also known as pace egging. Eggs were rolled down hills or along grassy paths, symbolizing the stone rolled away from the tomb. The egg that traveled farthest or survived most intact won. In northern England, pace egging also involved children in costumes performing traditional mumming plays, short dramatic sketches featuring St. George and other characters, in exchange for eggs or small gifts from neighbors. Rules varied by region. Some required eggs to be dyed first, others allowed plain ones. Egg dancing, also called hop egg. Dancers wove carefully between eggs placed on the ground without cracking any, a remarkable feat of balance and grace with roots possibly in Saxon times. Musicians played lively tunes, and crowds cheered the most agile performers. Other customs included scrabbling, where small treats, pies, or coins were tossed into crowds for children to gather excitedly, and occasional, later banned as too rowdy, hare or stag hunts on Easter Monday in parts of England. Superstitions and omens thrived in this era. A double yolk egg foretold wealth, twins, or exceptional good fortune. Eggs laid on Good Friday were believed never to spoil, and in colorful tall tales, might even turn into diamonds over time if kept. Being born on Easter Sunday brought lifelong luck and protection from harm, while a birth on Good Friday warned of future trials or hardship. Holy water collected during Easter church services was treasured for curing ailments, blessing homes, or protecting fields from blight. In some regions, special Good Friday bread or other baked goods carried similar protective powers. These medieval and Georgian customs beautifully blended deep Christian faith with the exuberant joy of spring's return after winter's hardship. They created a strong foundation of renewal, community, and symbolic hope that later centuries would embellish with even greater color, sentiment, commercial flair, chocolate innovations, and the glowing influence of television. Chapter 3: Victorian Splendor, Easter in the 1800s. The 19th century transformed Easter into a grand, sentimental, and highly family-oriented celebration, particularly in Britain and the United States. Queen Victoria's German heritage, reinforced through her beloved Prince Albert, helped popularize German customs such as elaborate egg hunts and the Easter bunny in English-speaking homes. Elaborate greeting cards, hand-tinted, embossed, or featuring new chromolithography techniques, flooded the post after the affordable penny post made mailing widespread. These cards often depicted charming scenes of bunnies, chicks, lambs, blooming flowers, overflowing baskets of eggs, and uplifting Bible verses. They served as warm tokens of friendship, faith, and spring renewal sent between families and friends. Wearing new clothes on Easter Sunday was almost a religious and social duty. Old folklore warned that failing to do so invited misfortune. Birds might soil your garments, or crows could peck at your eyes. Families attended morning church services in their finest spring attire, then participated in bonnet parades and flower festivals in public parks or along main streets, where judges awarded prizes for the most beautiful or creative hats adorned with ribbons, fresh flowers, and feathers. Food and feasts of the Victorian era. Easter dinner tables groaned under seasonal abundance after the long winter and Lenten restrictions. Roast spring lamb with mint sauce remained a favorite, symbolizing innocence and sacrifice, echoing the Passover lamb. In many American and British homes, baked or glazed ham became equally popular, practical after months of preserved meat, and a festive, affordable centerpiece that used up winter stores. Accompaniments included tender new potatoes, green peas, asparagus spears, stuffed tomatoes, and deviled eggs, a clever way to use the surplus hard-boiled eggs from hunts and rolling games. Desserts featured fruit tarts, Charlotte Russe, angel food cake, and the iconic British simnel cake, a lighter fruit cake with layers of marzipan baked inside and on top, traditionally decorated with 11 marzipan balls representing the apostles, Judas excluded. Though originally more tied to Mothering Sunday, the middle Sunday in Lent, when servants visited their mother church, simnel cake increasingly shifted toward Easter as a celebratory end to the fast by the late Victorian period. Hot cross buns remained essential, still carrying their ancient protective lore while being sold widely by street hawkers. The rise of chocolate eggs, a detailed Victorian innovation. One of the most transformative developments in Easter history occurred in the 1870s with the invention of commercial chocolate Easter eggs. For centuries, eggs had been the star of Easter, but chocolate, introduced to Europe from Mesoamerica in the 16th century, had been primarily a luxury drink for elites. Solid eating chocolate only became possible in the 19th century thanks to key innovations. The Dutch cocoa press, invented by Coenraad van Houten in 1828, separated cocoa butter from cocoa solids, allowing smoother, moldable chocolate. Joseph Fry and Sons produced the first solid chocolate bar in 1847, and Cadbury refined pure cocoa processes. The first hollow chocolate Easter egg appeared in the United Kingdom in 1873, created by J.S. Fry and Sons, a family firm founded in the 1750s that had pioneered solid chocolate bars. These early eggs were dark chocolate, somewhat grainy by modern standards, but revolutionary, hollow to make them lighter and more appealing than solid versions common in France and Germany earlier in the century. Fry's competitors quickly followed. In 1875, George and Richard Cadbury launched their own version, smooth, dark chocolate eggs with a plain surface, filled with sugar-coated chocolate drops known as dragees. Cadbury's eggs were an instant hit, and by 1893, the company had nearly 20 different Easter egg designs and patents. The eggs were often wrapped in colorful foil or ribbons, sold in elegant boxes, or displayed in shop windows as luxurious gifts. The breakthrough that truly democratized chocolate Easter eggs came in 1905 with Cadbury's Dairy Milk Chocolate, made with more milk and a sweeter profile. These milk chocolate eggs were creamier, more affordable, and irresistible, catapulting the treat from a niche luxury to a widespread family tradition. Early chocolate eggs were still relatively plain compared to today's decorated varieties, but they blended perfectly with Victorian sentimentality. Children received them alongside dyed real eggs, and the combination of the old symbolic egg with the new sweet delight captured hearts. This marked the beginning of chocolate's enduring association with Easter, turning a simple symbol of resurrection into a delicious, shareable joy that families could enjoy together. By the late 1800s, chocolate eggs were advertised in newspapers and shop windows, setting the stage for television commercials decades later. Old recipe, Victorian-style hot cross buns, adapted from 19th century household methods. Ingredients: makes 12 to 15 buns. 500 grams strong white flour, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, half a teaspoon mixed spice or additions like mace, caraway, or coriander in some period variations, 10 grams dried yeast or 30 grams fresh, 60 grams castor sugar, 300 milliliters mixed warm milk and water, 1 large egg, beaten, 90 grams raisins or currants, 60 grams candied citrus peel, optional, flour and water paste for crosses or icing sugar glaze after baking. Some Victorian recipes used molasses or honey turmeric glazes. Sugar syrup or honey for final glaze. Method: combine the dry ingredients with the spices. Dissolve the yeast in the warm liquid with a spoonful of the sugar. Mix everything into a soft dough with the beaten egg. Knead until smooth and elastic, then work in the fruit. Cover and let rise in a warm place until doubled in size, 1 to 2 hours. Divide into balls, place on a baking tray, mark crosses with the paste, and allow a second rise. Bake at 220 degrees Celsius, 425 degrees Fahrenheit, for 15 to 20 minutes until golden. Brush immediately with hot sugar syrup for a glossy finish. These buns were treasured not only for their flavor, but for bringing protection, friendship, and good luck when shared or kept hanging in the kitchen. Old recipe: Victorian-inspired simnel cake, a lighter fruit cake. Cream 225 grams butter with 225 grams sugar. Add 4 eggs. Then fold in 450 grams mixed dried fruit including raisins, sultanas, currants, spices, lemon zest, and flour. Bake in layers with marzipan between and on top, decorated with 11 toasted marzipan balls, sometimes sugared edible spring flowers in late Victorian fashion. The cake symbolized the end of Lent's restrictions and the joy of reunion or renewal. Old recipe: glazed Easter ham, Victorian American style, a simple yet festive centerpiece. Score a 5 to 7 pound ham. stud with cloves, glaze with a mixture of brown sugar, mustard and pineapple juice or honey, and bake slowly at 160 degrees Celsius, 325 degrees Fahrenheit until golden and caramelized. Served with deviled eggs made from hunt leftovers. Natural egg dyeing the authentic Victorian way. Commercial dye kits did not yet exist, so families relied on kitchen staples and garden creativity. Yellow onion skins simmered in water give rich golden brown or reddish tones. Longer simmer for deeper color. Beets or cranberries give vibrant pink to deep red. Red cabbage simmered with a splash of vinegar gives blue or purple shades. Spinach, parsley, or grass give soft green hues. Turmeric, lemon peels, or orange peels give sunny yellow. Children enhance designs by wrapping small leaves, flowers, lace, or string around eggs with thread before dyeing, then unwrapping to reveal delicate patterns. Some drew symbols such as crosses, churches, flowers, or bunnies directly on the shells with wax, crayons, or tallow before coloring. The wax resisted the dye, creating beautiful contrasts. Hard-boiled eggs were gifted or used in games, while novelty eggs made of sugar, cardboard lined with fabric, or papier-mâché sometimes contained small candies or surprises. Lemonade and cookies refreshed excited children at parties. Games and merrymaking. Egg hunts, popularized from German customs, delighted children of all ages. Real dyed eggs or novelty versions, including cardboard eggs lined with fabric and filled with little candies, were hidden in gardens, parlors, or shrubbery. Winners often received special prizes. On rainy days, hunts moved indoors. Egg rolling races used wooden spoons to push eggs along paths or down hills. The first to the finish line without cracking won. Other favorites included egg tapping contests, egg croquet pushing eggs through wire hoops with mallets, toss and catch, risky but thrilling, and egg ball or egg picking. In towns, races sometimes spilled onto main streets with cheering crowds. The White House hosted its first official public egg roll in 1878 under President Rutherford B. Hayes. Earlier informal rolling had occurred on Capitol grounds as early as the 1850s to 1870s. But after Congress banned the rowdy event in 1876, due to turf damage, children reportedly rushed to the White House gates. Hayes welcomed them to the South Lawn, establishing the beloved tradition. Early years featured the Marine Band, including John Philip Sousa, vendors and games like egg picking, egg ball, toss and catch, and egg croquet. Bands, entertainers, and food stalls added festive energy. By the late 1800s, the event had grown into a major community gathering. Folklore and omens in Victorian times. Hot cross buns hung in kitchens guarded against fire, ensured bread rose properly, and protected against evil spirits. A hare crossing your path on Easter brought good fortune. A black cat signaled ill luck. If Easter or Good Friday fell on March 25th, Lady Day, some feared national misfortune within the year. Easter lilies, with their trumpet-shaped blooms and downward-facing petals, symbolized purity and the resurrection. Sharing an egg or bun forged lifelong friendship. Double yolk eggs promised wealth. Eggs laid on Good Friday held special protective power. Victorian Easter beautifully balanced solemn religious services, including sunrise gatherings and church processions, with wholesome family fun, creating cherished memories that echoed through generations and influenced modern celebrations. Chapter 4. The early to mid-20th century. Sweet commercial joy and the dawn of television, 1900s to 1950s. The Edwardian era and interwar years preserved many old customs while layering on commercial sweetness and mass appeal. Chocolate eggs and bunnies proliferated in shops. Cadbury dramatically expanded its lines after introducing milk chocolate more broadly around 1905, making Easter treats more affordable. In America, German immigrant traditions continued. Chocolate rabbits appeared in Pennsylvania shops from the 1890s onward. with advances in molding techniques helping popularize the Osterhase in sweet form. By the mid-20th century, chocolate Easter eggs had become a staple, with hollow designs, foil wrappers, and increasingly elaborate fillings or decorations. Jelly beans, with their smooth, egg-like ovoid shape, joined Easter baskets prominently in the 1930s. Originally a general confection with roots possibly in Turkish delight-style sweets, their colorful form tied them symbolically to rebirth. Marketers eagerly promoted them for post-Lent indulgence. In 1953, Just Born, founded by Russian immigrant Sam Born, launched mass-produced marshmallow peeps, initially yellow chicks. New machinery reduced production time from 27 hours by hand to mere minutes, allowing these pastel confections to hop quickly into every basket and become enduring icons. Over 700 million sold in peak seasons today. Easter parades reached glamorous heights. New York's Fifth Avenue tradition, dating to the mid-1800s, drew massive crowds who admired new bonnets and spring outfits after church services. The 1948 film Easter Parade, starring Fred Astaire and Judy Garland with music by Irving Berlin, immortalized the custom with the famous song. In your Easter bonnet, with all the frills upon it, you'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade. Family dinners continued with lamb or ham, now often paired with carrot cake, nodding to the bunny's favorite vegetable, or coconut nests filled with candies. Egg hunts used more plastic or novelty eggs for durability in larger groups. The White House Easter egg roll resumed after wartime pauses, evolving with folk dances briefly under Lou Hoover, radio broadcasts with Eleanor Roosevelt in 1933, and more organized games. The Easter Bunny costume first appeared there in 1969, delighting children, though the spirit of the jolly hare delivering treats was already decades old. Chocolate eggs, now mass-produced and affordable, had fully integrated into the tradition, evolving from Victorian novelties into a commercial cornerstone. The dawn of television, Easter enters the living room. Television truly arrived for Easter in the 1950s, as sets became common in homes across America and Britain. Networks began broadcasting Easter parades, church services, and the White House egg roll, bringing distant traditions into family living rooms. Early TV commercials for Cadbury, Peeps, and Jelly Beans flooded the airwaves, reinforcing the commercial joy of baskets and chocolate. But it was the old-fashioned cartoons and specials, many produced in the 1960s to 1980s, but rooted in this era, that truly wove Easter into the fabric of popular culture. These charming, stop-motion, and hand-drawn animations echoed Victorian sentimentality while adding humor, music, and storytelling that made the Easter Bunny, egg hunts, and resurrection themes accessible and fun for children. Families gathered around the TV to watch these classics, often after church or before egg hunts, creating new shared memories. Disney contributed significantly with its timeless, silly symphony short Funny Little Bunnies from 1934, a whimsical 7-minute animated gem directed by Wilfred Jackson. This pre-television classic depicted hardworking Easter bunnies in a magical meadow workshop at the end of the rainbow, busily preparing for the holiday. Scenes showed bunnies painting colorful eggs with rainbow colors, including plaid and polka dot patterns, crafting chocolate eggs and rabbits on assembly lines, weaving baskets, and enlisting help from hens who laid fresh eggs and birds that assisted in the decorations. Mischievous bugs occasionally interrupted the cheerful teamwork, adding gentle humor. The short featured a catchy song, See the Funny Little Bunnies, and showcased early Disney animation techniques, earning a gold medal for Best Animated Film at the 1934 Venice Film Festival. Though originally released in theaters, it was frequently rebroadcast on television during Easter seasons in the 1950s to 1980s, delighting new generations and visually bringing to life the Victorian-era chocolate egg workshops and egg decorating traditions. It remains a beloved, old-fashioned Easter cartoon, often shared on home video or streaming today. Rankin/Bass Productions, famous for Christmas classics, dominated with a trilogy of Easter specials that retold the bunny's origins in whimsical ways, much like their Santa stories. Here Comes Peter Cottontail from 1971 was a stop-motion musical narrated by Danny Kaye, based on a 1957 book. It followed a lazy rabbit named Peter who overslept and had to prove himself worthy of becoming the Easter Bunny, featuring songs, villains like Irontail, and adventures that taught responsibility and the joy of Easter deliveries. Families gathered around the TV to watch this colorful tale, which became a perennial favorite and inspired countless egg hunts. The First Easter Rabbit from 1976, narrated by Burl Ives, used traditional animation to tell the story of a toy rabbit brought to life by a child's love, blending themes of resurrection and new life with gentle songs and a heartwarming message. The Easter Bunny is Common to Town from 1977, another Rankin/Bass stop-motion special narrated by Fred Astaire. Mirrored Santa Claus is Common to Town by explaining how Easter traditions began in a town called Kidville, with the bunny overcoming a grumpy mayor through kindness. Eggs and Parades. These specials aired annually on ABC, CBS, and NBC, often with commercials for chocolate eggs that tied directly into the stories. Peanuts added heart. It's the Easter Beagle. Charlie Brown from 1974 showed the gang preparing for Easter, with Snoopy as the Easter Beagle delivering eggs and treats in his signature whimsical style. It captured the simple family joys of dyeing eggs and hunting, while gently nodding to the holiday's spirit. Looney Tunes brought slapstick fun with shorts like Easter Yeggs from 1947, featuring Bugs Bunny and the Easter Bunny. And later specials, such as Bugs Bunny's Easter Special from 1977 and Daffy Duck's Easter Show from 1980, which mixed classic clips with new animation about egg hunts gone wrong and bunny rivalries. These aired on Saturday mornings and prime time, making Easter feel as exciting as Christmas for kids glued to the screen. Other gems included the Berenstain Bears Easter Surprise from 1981 and A Family Circus Easter from 1982. TV turned Easter into a shared cultural event. Families watched specials after church, then hunted eggs inspired by the cartoons. Commercials for Cadbury cream eggs and other candies played during breaks, boosting sales and embedding the chocolate egg deeper into tradition. By the 1950s to 1970s, Easter on TV had blended old folklore with modern entertainment, ensuring the holiday's customs lived on in new generations. Folklore persisted. Hot cross buns still guarded kitchens in traditional homes. The Easter hare or bunny visited only good children, leaving baskets brimming with sweets. In some European tales, hares link to older ideas of scaring away winter witches with bonfires and noise. In Australia and New Zealand, rabbits were invasive pests, damaging farmland and native wildlife. From the late 20th century, with roots in a 1968 story by schoolgirl Rosemary Dusting titled Billy the Aussie Easter Bilby. The Easter bilby, a long-eared nocturnal marsupial, emerged as a conservation-minded alternative. Chocolate bilbies raised awareness and funds for the endangered species, offering a charming local symbol without ecological harm. Aboriginal communities had long known the bilby by various names and featured it in Dreamtime stories. Chapter 5. Mid to late 20th century. Family gatherings, commercial boom, and television's golden age of Easter cartoons, 1960s to 1990s. Post-war prosperity filled Easter baskets with abundant candy. Plastic eggs, safer and more practical for large-scale hunts, replaced many real ones and were stuffed with sweets or tiny toys. Deviled eggs, often made from hunt leftovers, and glazed ham anchored American tables, while Britain favored roast lamb, simnel cake, and hot cross buns. Television advertisements and themed merchandise boomed, turning Easter into a major commercial event. Yet churches steadfastly maintained sunrise services, flowering the cross by adorning a wooden cross with fresh flowers, and Easter vigil ceremonies. Chocolate eggs continued to evolve with new flavors, sizes, and packaging innovations like windowed boxes, inspired by light bulb cartons in the 1950s, making displays more eye-catching. The White House egg roll grew more elaborate, adding petting zoos, talent shows, wooden souvenir eggs signed by the President and First Lady starting in the 1980s, and straw-filled egg hunt pits. Each first family added personal touches, but the core joy of rolling, hunting, and community remained. Cancellations occurred during wars or renovations, but the tradition always returned stronger. Regional variations flourished. In the American South, ham dinners with deviled eggs were standard. In the United Kingdom, chocolate eggs from Cadbury dominated. In Australia, the bilby gained traction alongside traditional rabbits. Television's golden age, more old-fashioned cartoons and Easter on screen. By the 1960s to 1990s, television had become Easter's new storyteller, with networks scheduling a full lineup of old-fashioned cartoons and specials that kept families glued to the screen during school holidays. Rankin/Bass continued their influence, and other studios added to the canon. The Smurfs Springtime Special from 1982 featured the blue characters on an egg hunt adventure with moral lessons. A Chucklewood Easter from 1987 brought claymation charm with forest animals celebrating the holiday. Yogi the Easter Bear from 1994 had Yogi and Boo Boo saving Easter when the bunny was kidnapped, a fun twist on classic Hanna-Barbera slapstick. Looney Tunes and Warner Bros. Specials like Daffy Duck's Easter Egg-citement from 1980 mixed new animation with vintage shorts, turning egg hunts into chaotic chases. Disney rebroadcast classics and aired parade specials, such as the Disney Easter Parade from Walt Disney World, broadcast nationally in the 1980s to 1990s, featuring floats, characters, and music that families planned their day around. These cartoons reinforced traditions. Children learned egg dyeing from peanuts, bunny lore from Rankin/Bass, and the joy of sharing from Bugs Bunny antics. Commercials during breaks, iconic Cadbury cream egg ads with their gooey centers and catchy jingles, spurred families to buy more chocolate eggs. TV made Easter feel communal even in isolated homes, blending old folklore such as hares judging children with new stories of friendship and renewal. Parades on screen, like the Fifth Avenue or Disney versions, inspired local events and bonnet contests. By the 1990s, VHS tapes of these specials allowed families to watch year-round, preserving the old-fashioned magic for future generations. Chapter 6. Modern Easter, Old Customs in a New Light. Today's Easter weaves ancient symbolism with contemporary adaptations and growing awareness of sustainability. Many families still attend sunrise services or the Easter Vigil to celebrate the resurrection. Egg hunts blend plastic eggs for safety and ease with chocolate ones, while many continue the tradition of dyeing real eggs using time-honored natural methods. Onion skins for warm browns, beets for pinks and reds, red cabbage for blues and purples, spinach or turmeric for greens and yellows. Hot cross buns appear with icing crosses more often than baked dough ones, but the ritual of sharing them for friendship and protection endures. Chocolate eggs remain central, now available in countless varieties from fair trade dark chocolate to milk chocolate classics. But many families opt for ethically sourced options to honor the tradition's roots while addressing modern concerns. Tables feature roast lamb with mint sauce or glazed ham, spring vegetables, deviled eggs, simnel cake or carrot cake. Concerns over packaging waste and environmental impact have prompted shifts. Fair trade or ethically sourced chocolate, reusable baskets, reduced plastic options, and support for conservation-focused brands. The Easter Bunny, or bilby in Australia, still delivers treats, though some families emphasize handmade elements, storytelling about the Osterhaus, or eco-friendly twists. Games echo the past vividly. Spoon races on the White House South Lawn, still an annual highlight with thousands attending, backyard egg rolls, tapping contests, and family hunts. Folklore lingers quietly. New clothes for luck, buns for friendship and protection, the simple pleasure of cracking open a beautifully dyed egg on a bright spring morning. In a busy digital world, Easter offers a meaningful pause for faith, family connection, nature's rebirth, and the timeless message that after darkness comes light, after death comes life. Some revive slow traditions. Hand-dyeing eggs with children using kitchen ingredients, baking from scratch, telling old tales of the hair or protective buns, while others enjoy community parades, church events, or modern eco-friendly celebrations. Streaming services now rebroadcast classic cartoons like Here Comes Peter Cottontail, and it's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown, keeping the old-fashioned TV magic alive alongside new specials. Whether in a Victorian parlor with marzipan simnel cake, a 1950s suburban yard overflowing with peeps and jelly beans, or a 21st century garden with natural dyes and chocolate bilbies, Old Easter carries the same enduring hope. May your baskets overflow with joy, your eggs roll true and unbroken through the races, your buns bring friendship and protection, and your traditions, ancient, Victorian, or newly invented, shine brightly across the years. Happy Easter. From the deep roots of history to the table you set today. May the spirit of resurrection and spring renewal bless your home with light, laughter, and lasting memories.